They're asking us to find the domain of the function here, and it's written out for us, the f of x. And normally your domain is all real numbers, everything. It's what you can plug in for x. It's all your x values. And normally you can plug in anything, but we have two restrictions. We can't have a 0 in the denominator, and we can't have a radical where the radicand inside is a negative, okay, less than 0. So these two things are my domain restrictions. And you're going to have all real numbers unless you see an x down here that could give you a 0, or an x inside of here that could give you something less than 0. So, do we see any radicals for this function right here? No. So for this problem, we don't have to worry about this. Do you see an x in the denominator where you could end up getting a 0? Sure do. So what you have to say is that the denominator cannot be 0. So we're going to write that down. We're going to say x squared plus 23x plus 120 cannot be 0. Okay, and now we need to find those values of x that would give us a 0. All right, we're not just going to pick them out of the sky. This is called a quadratic equation. So if you need to go back and look up some videos on how to solve a quadratic equation, I have some. I have a lot. And what we're going to do is first we set it equal to 0, right? Smiley face. Once it's equal to 0, we're going to factor this part. Okay, you can also go look up some videos on factoring a trinomial. In this case, it's a trinomial that begins with the number 1, leading coefficient of 1. And when we factor this, we're going to end up getting x and x, two numbers that multiply to give me 120 and add to give me 23. Let me come over to the side and do that. Okay, it could be 1 and 120. It could be 2 and 60, 3 and 40, 4 and 30, 5 goes into 120, 5 and 14, 6 goes into 120. Wow, there's a lot of options here. 6 and 20. I don't think 7 works. 8's going to work, I think. 8 and... Okay, grab my calculator. 8 and 15. Let's see, 120 divided by 9. Nope, 9 doesn't work. 10 works, of course. 10 and 12. 11 doesn't work. So here's my possibilities. So which ones of these will add to give me a positive 23? That's going to be right here, 8 and 15. Okay, so to factor this, it's x plus 8 and x plus 15. Set both of your factors not equal to 0. X plus 8 can't be 0. X plus 15 can't be 0. So x cannot be negative 8. X cannot be negative 8. Let's do this one. Subtract 15 from both sides to get that grumpy x by itself. X cannot be 0 minus 15 is negative 15. So here's the two restrictions on my domain. Okay, if you want to see a better, slower, more thorough explanation of this, look up solving quadratic equations. And here's what my answer is going to look like in interval notation. So I can plug in any number in the world for x. There's only two numbers that I can't plug in. I can't plug in a negative 8 or a negative 15. So my interval notation is going to be everything from negative infinity all the way to negative 15. It's not going to include negative 15. It picks up right on the other side of negative 15 to negative 8. Not going to include negative 8. Picks up on the other side of negative 8 and goes all the way to infinity. So this is it in interval notation. That's what they want. Okay, if you want to see a graphical version, I'll do that. Let me do that in blue right above. So let's say I have this number line. And here's negative 15. And here's negative 8. Everything is shaded except for right here at negative 15 is not shaded. And right here at negative 8 is not shaded. Okay, but everything else is shaded. So everything from back here at negative infinity is shaded. And then I shade all the way to negative 15. I stop at negative 15, and then I start right on the other side of negative 15. I shade everything all the way to negative 8. I stop at negative 8, and I start right on the other side of negative 8, and I go all the way to where? Shade in that arrow, which is infinity. Okay, one more thing to remember. On a number line, the smaller numbers have to go to the left, and the larger numbers have to go to the right. So negative 8 is a greater number than negative 15. Okay, you can't put the negative 8 on the left side of negative 15. Right, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Okay, and all the numbers in between here, of course, are negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, negative 12, negative 13, negative 14, negative 15. Okay, but the answer they want is the interval notation, which is boxed in the black right there.